boys and girls, we are on page 17 for the homework, and we have problem number 1. Use the grid below to complete the following tasks. For problem A, it asks you construct a y-axis, then passes through points Y and Z. So I did that already. I created an X and Y axis that crosses Y, W, and X and V. So I did A already, and then I did B. I constructed a perpendicular axis that passes through point Z and X, and then I need to, lastly, for point C, label the origin as 0. So I'm labeling the origin as 0, and as you can see, it's at the very bottom, and it also counts over here at 0. So Z is 0, 0. Now, the y-coordinate of what's wrong with my voice today, of W is 2 and 3 fifths. So we know that, let's see, where's W? W, right here. So we have the y-coordinate, so we don't know what 0 is, but we do know that this one is 2 and 3 fifths. And over here we have V, which is 2 and 2 fifths for the x-coordinate. So we have 2 and 2 fifths. I'm going to write that down. And if you notice, 3 fifths and 2 fifths is a dead giveaway for how this coordinate is split up. It's split into fifths, and the reason I know that is because on the bottom it says 5, so that means that the whole number is being divided into 5 pieces. So that's what I'm going to do on the bottom. I'm going to divide all of this into 5 so you guys can see this. So this is 1 fifth, 2 fifths, 3 fifths, 4 fifths, and this is 5 fifths. So if you want to write that, you can. This one over here is going to be 1 fifth, 1 and 1 fifth, 2 and 1 fifth, 3 and 1 fifth. Oh, it's 1 and 1, sorry. I'm confusing myself. 1 and 1 fifth, 1 and 2 fifths, 1 and 3 fifths, 1 and 4 fifths. Over here we have 2 and 1 fifth, 2 and 2 fifths, 2 and 3 fifths, 2 and 4 fifths, and this right here would be 2 and 5 fifths if you really need it. You usually don't. And then over here we have 3 and 1 fifth, 3 and 2 fifths, and 3 and 3 fifths. And it stops right there. So don't have to continue on. And then on the side, I'm going to write this in a different color. This is also divided into fifths. I'm going to put it over here so that it's clearer. So we have 1 fifth, 2 fifths, 3 fifths, 4 fifths, and then this one will be 5 fifths if you want to write it. So we have 1 and 1 fifth, 1 and 2 fifths, 1 and 3 fifths, 1 and 4 fifths, and then we have 2, and this one is 2 and 1 fifth, 2 and 2 fifths, 2 and 3 fifths, 2 and 4 fifths. And over here we have 3 and 1 fifth, 3 and 2 fifths, and I think it ends there because K is the last coordinate you have. So I'm going to stop right there. You want to write this one would be 1 and 5 fifths. If that helps. So now that I wrote all of my coordinates, I'm going to give you guys, this is a good time to pause your video and write everything down, or you can follow along as you are already. So the first question asks me, I have to turn the page. For all of the following problems, consider the points K through X on the previous page. Identify all the points that have a y-coordinate of 1 and 3 fifths. So I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm looking at the x-coordinate 1 and 1 fifth. So I'm going to move over, and I have 1 and 1 fifth right here. And the only one I have is right here. This is K. So I'm going to write down 1 and 1 fifth. And it looks like the y coordinate is 3 and 2/5. So this is my x and this is my y. Okay? Now I'm going to move on to the next question. It asks me to identify all the points that have an x coordinate of 2 and 1/5. So this is the x coordinate again. 2 and 1/5 is right here. So I'm going to circle all these that I need to identify. So for 0, notice that I'm already at 2 and 2/5. No, wait, 2 and 1/5. So I have 2 and 1/5, 2 and 1/5, 2 and 1/5. Now I'm looking for my y coordinate for each one of those. So to find y, I'm going to look at this. This one is at 1. You see that? I have 1. And then for m, I have 1 and 3/5. And for L, I have 3. Okay? So this is my x-axis, and this is my x and y coordinate. I like to write it down just so I know how I figured that out. Okay? Now I'm going to move on to problem C. For problem C, it says right here, which point is 1 and 3/5 units above the x-axis and 3 and 1/5 units to the right of the y-axis. So what they're looking for is 1 and 3/5 units above the x-axis. So 1 and 3/5. So 1 is right here. 1 and 3/5 is right here. Okay, so it's one of these, but it also tells me that, let me read that again. 1 and 3/5, and then 3 and 1/5. So on this bottom area, I want to go to 3 and 1/5. So let's see which one is that one. That one would be Q. Okay, that's the only one. So I'm going to circle that one, and I'm going to write down its coordinates. So it said earlier that it is 3 and 1/5 and 1 and 3/5. That's a confusing question, and the reason why is because they're asking you to identify by saying the opposite of how you usually hear it. So I'm going to write down Q right now. My next problem, for problem number, problem number D, it says which point is located 1 and 1/5 units from the y-axis. So 1 and 1/5 units. So I'm looking at the y-axis, this is the y-axis, and I'm moving it over to 1 and 1/5. And the only one I can identify is K. So I'm going to write down K. The next one I have asked me, which point is located 2/5 units along the x-axis? So 2/5. I'm going to move this up from the x-axis at 2/5.